your hosts, Rain Carnegie and Britt Loveson.
What's going on, everybody? Here we are, another edition of Part of the Game. Your hosts,
Rainbow, and Britain. Be love, not hate. Be love.
I like it. I like that you're throwing the not hate.
Yeah, be love.
Ever since you started doing that, I've been such a good, Mr. Lover.
Mr. Lover, and it's rubbing off on me. It's just a nice feel good.
Vibe. It's a good vibe.
Nice feel good.
Episode 10. We made it to double digits.
I never would have thought that we would have made it thus far.
And, we got guests rolling down the street.
Okay, yeah, sure.
Whatever.
Yeah, freestyle.
Yeah, freestyle, but pretty awesome. How fortunate are we?
So fortunate. Fortunate. And we keep on saying this time and time again. I don't know why they keep on, agreeing to be on our show, but we're forever thankful.
For sure.
And today is no different.
Today is no different, and we have a great guest.
We have another great guest today. But before we get to
that, we're going to talk about another small business today.
Another small business.
Rain, you wanna take it away? These are pretty good people to you that you've made.
Well, kind of good people to me. There's a backstory here. We're talking about
let's hear it.
GSW, okay, Gitch Sportswear, their website, getgitch.com. They're located, I apologize.
1140
Shepherd Avenue West.
Yep.
They have these new bags here that are customizable. Really great work. They're one of the major players in all of sports apparel. And one of the partners there is a guy by the name of Graham Williamson.
Yep.
Former minor hockey league teammate of mine. It's not a coincidence that he probably gave us these black and orange bags because he was a teammate of mine on the Don Mills Flyers, where, by the way, he stole my captaincy. I was the captain in minor Pee Wee. This guy, Graham Williamson.
So is that why you said he's not a great person to you?
He's an okay guy. He would be a great guy if he didn't take the captaincy. Talking about letters on jerseys, he stole one from me. But besides him stealing, he was a great hockey player. He's an even better friend.
Cool.
Him and his partner Vitaly.
Yep.
They've been doing this for a long time, and they're the best in the business. Anything that you need from tracksuits, jerseys, hats, toques, bags, gloves, custom gloves, everything. I'm telling you, these guys are the best. We have the jerseys in the background. Obviously, my partners over here, the GSW with the Own Aces blue. We got the new order in on the other side behind Mr. B Love. The great work that they did over there with the red and black. These guys are the best.
For sure. This for
a toiletry bag.
Come on, for the
dressing room. Or stick tape. Yeah.
Jeez, this is money
Coach's
right here.
Bag.
And waterproof, it seems. So great quality.
Great people. Great people. Like the best in the business. We actually were talking about his partner Vitaly. He has a crazy Instagram where he's a Russian skills trainer.
Okay.
And it's some of the best content that I've seen out
Is it like a joke thing?
It's like a joke thing. It's called, and I'm gonna pull it up here quickly. I believe it's called 2 seconds.
So can he play though? Is he like
Vitaly was a player.
He was a player.
Vitaly was a player. And I believe it is called 2 seconds here. I apologize.
Well, we know you in technology.
Doesn't.
It's like oil and water, right?
Dangling machine from Motherland, Coach V. Odd with Coach V is the Instagram is the Instagram handle.
Yeah.
And I want him to train me.
It's legendary.
It's legendary. So the boys at getgitch.com, Gitch Sportswear, friends of ours, friends of yours, friends of everyone's support small businesses.
For sure. And, when we come out of this too, jerseys for teams and
everything.
This and that.
Even now, get your orders in. We're coming back. Now's the time to get your orders in. We're coming back. Support the boys. customizable stuff, generic stuff,
sure.
whatever you're looking for. Great price as well.
Cool.
Right? So great quality, great people.
Wait, so when we send people there, do they say they know you, or
No,
do
maybe
they...
you should say that you guys know B Love.
All right. You're not getting a discount.
You're not getting a discount.
You're getting charged double.
You're getting
if
charged
you
double.
say you know this guy.
So
No, for real, that's awesome, man. And
just great people.
Great quality stuff. Looks
Great
really
quality.
cool.
Great
and
quality.
your jerseys are great. Like, come on, that's
all
awesome.
the best in the industry right now.
Cool.
And I owe it to the guys at Gitch
Awesome.
Sportswear. So thank you guys for the partnership that we have. Support local. Get your orders in now. We will be coming back.
For sure.
You don't want to miss an opportunity to make sure that you're fresh to death for when we return back to hockey. I know I placed my order, which is why we got them.
Yep.
But you guys should be placing your orders too.
GetGitch.com, 1140 Shepherd Avenue West. And do they have an Instagram, or we'll post the link?
We'll post the link.
Okay.
We'll post all those links.
Cool. And another cool thing.
Another cool thing.
Support small local artists.
Support small
Other
local
way?
artists. I know. I want to have a little. It's a little.
Drum roll, please.
This is our first piece of fan art.
Yep.
And it comes from the one and only Miles Carnegie. And my boy is the next Picasso. Look at that. Look at that right there. Look at that over here. Look at that. That is, I mean, I am telling you.
Like, he even did the skates with the stick. Like, he's got the laces too.
He has the laces. He has everything.
Your boy is.
He does. He definitely doesn't get it from me.
No, I was gonna say he pays close attention to detail. What's going on here?
Can't be any more proud of I am than I am of both of my children.
Thank you, Miles.
Thank
Carnegie.
you, Miles. Thank you. Also, my daughter Maya.
Yeah.
Can't.
Because she's the one directing him.
Well, this is her canvas, right? She had to donate the canvas
there you go.
for my son to paint this masterpiece.
One cool, like, I'm gonna be a little geeky here with the art. One really cool thing that I love about this piece, aside from the skates and everything he did, our names and part of the game, like, aside from all that amazing stuff, we have a bit of, I don't know what you call it, in our logo, where the green kind of has different colors. And he tried to capture that with the different, like, the guy knows. It's gradient. That's what it's called. Gradient.
Kind of like my shirt. It's kind of gradient. It's kind of going on zebra-y.
That shirt, so our producer, Robbie Soul, when Carnegie walked in here today, he goes, buddy, like, it's either skins or like
shirts or skins.
Shirt, you can't, no shirt, because you can't wear that. And,
no, well, I tried. I brought another penny. Okay, I brought another penny. But again, it's the same thing time and time again. We don't pay our AC bill. So until we pay our AC bill, I have to wear the staticky.
We're going to have to, the
pennies.
3D shirt.
What a great episode.
I guess, the gradient shirt with the gradient art. But, what a great episode. Thank you, Miles.
Thank you, Miles. Thank you, GetGitch.com, Gitch Sportswear.
If you went to pick up the bags from Gitch,
I could have got a jersey. I know. Because I wasn't thinking I was going to be so fixated.
Come on, man.
With the camera.
What are you doing?
What are you doing?
All right, so get to our show today.
Yes.
Great show.
Great show. Number 10.
Number 10.
Is that 10 in French? Français?
D. I don't think you pluralize it. Just
I should know.
D.
I played hockey in France and in the Quebec Junior.
We said D. Yeah, D.
D? It's just D? Are you sure?
I think it's just D.
Okay.
So episode 10, what a great episode. Someone in the hockey world that's kind of been a captain everywhere he went, a leader.
He's just
a great person.
Just a great person.
Great stories. The guy, we're not gonna give it all away, but like he's here to talk about a lot of stuff in the hockey world, which is
all-time point leader at St. Mary's University. And I'd be remiss to not bring up, our first inaugural guest, all-time point leader at Merrimack College, Michaela Grant-Mentis. So I think that this is kind of a norm for us. So we're just going to start looking at university all-time leaders, and we're just going to start.
But also like OHL American-born player Rob Schremp, 145 points. We had him on the show, so we got like
we're starting to get a little bit of a buzz.
superstars.
Well, obviously, and this guest is no different. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, we bring to you
A former teammate.
A former teammate.
Yeah, former teammate.
Spells his name different.
Yeah.
With a C.
Yeah.
But we'll get into that right after this announcement.
Marc
Rancourt.
Rancourt. All right, moving along to our next guest here, or our only guest of the day. But, pretty cool to have, a friend of yours. But,
a friend of yours is a friend of mine. A friend of mine is a friend of yours. A friend of ours.
Friend of ours.
Right. Cool.
But, tell us a little bit about our guest, right?
This gentleman, I've had the pleasure of knowing. I'm not sure he feels the same way, of knowing since I was 15 or 16. We entered the OHL together on the Belleville Bulls. I was the first round pick. He was drafted the year before. We'll get into that.
Okay.
But he was a late round gem. Probably the closest teammate that I'm still in touch with to this day. Here we are decades later. Spells his name weird though. His name is Marc Rancourt, for those of you that don't know him. But he spells his name Marc with a C.
Marc with a C.
Marc with a C, not with a K.
Isn't that like French though, or like European? Or...
I don't know, but maybe it's because all he did in life with his beautiful family, his beautiful wife Ashley, I went to high school with, and his two boys. But he had a prolific junior hockey career, and then went on and exceeded those expectations and had an unbelievable collegiate career in the Atlantic University league out there, playing for St. Mary's. And I like to say that his parents probably spelt his name with a C because he was a champion.
And a captain.
And a captain. So ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, my friend, Monsieur Marc Rancourt. Ranny!
How's it going? Thanks for joining us, man.
Of course. Good to see you fellas. How are you?
We are doing well. I'm a little bit hot. I'm a little bit flush. We seem to always not pay our AC bill at the studio, and I always get into debate with my guys here. So I'm a little bit flush right now. I'm not gonna lie, which is typical when you're also a little bit overweight, which I am. So other than that,
you look good, kid. Don't. Come on.
Well, my mom. I get my looks from my mom.
There you go.
How are you doing though?
I'm doing good, and it sounds like some things never change, Rain. I do recall you running hot even as a 16-year-old. Hey, things are good. Thanks for asking. Obviously, it's a weird time out there, but we're making the most of it out here in Calgary, trying to get outside and do what we can to keep busy.
And Marc, I mean, I can't thank you enough for staying in contact with me, for being a guest on our show today. One of the things that we like to do on our show is educate the viewership that we have, and we're trying to bring on unique guests such as yourself to share their experiences and what they had to do to find success and where they are today. And for you, coming into the OHL from Ottawa, I believe that's where you grew up, in Ottawa and Gloucester. Is that how you pronounce it correctly, Gloucester?
Not even close. But
not even close. No, can you correct it? Can you correct us? How do you pronounce it?
We call it Gloucester.
Gloucester. Okay, cool. And so you're a 9th round draft pick by a franchise that unfortunately is no longer. What a tragic. I mean,
yeah.
To take the junior hockey out of the Belleville area, I mean, what a tragedy.
And how do you go from like way east to Hamilton, way west?
I have no idea, but for you, it's not often that you find a late round draft pick, especially back when we were playing in the early 2000s, late 1990s. When you're a late round draft pick, normally back then it was the first 2 picks normally make the team plus whoever's on the years later. Mm-hmm. And if you're a later round draft pick, it was either one of two things. Either you've indicated that you're going to school, or teams thought that there was no way that this kid was going to come to junior, or somebody just didn't do their job right, because how do you get this guy in the 9th round? He should have been a top 2-round pick for sure with the career that he's had.
Yeah.
So going back to your draft, Mark, did you always want to go junior? Were you thinking of school? Were there reasons why you slipped down to the 9th round? What was that time period like, if you can recall? I know it was a few decades ago, but if you can recall.
Calling them old?
I'm saying we're not spring chickens anymore.
That's over 20 years ago now, and that is just hard to say and hard to come to terms with. But no, like I think certainly my parents were always big into education and always sort of preached school before anything else as a kid growing up. So school was always kind of that first kind of option, or just where I always pictured myself going if I turned 17, 18, 19 and was good enough and lucky enough to find a home, the NCAA route. I'll be honest, guys, the draft wasn't really on my radar, and I think I was a little bit naive, maybe a little bit oblivious to how junior hockey in Ontario worked. I can actually remember the day after the draft reading in the paper that I had been selected, because I didn't realize the draft had passed or what day it was. And then I got a call that day from, and to this day, I can't remember who called me, but it wasn't anyone from Belleville. I think it was a gentleman involved in junior hockey out of the Ottawa area, and he just called me and said, "Hey, Mark, congratulations! Like, you got drafted 9th round of Belleville." And I was just kind of like, "Yeah," like I read about it in the list of the draft that they had in the paper. It wasn't like they had done a specific story on anybody. It was just my name, 180 something down the list. So it was, I was excited. Obviously, you feel it's flattering to get drafted. And, at that point, that's where you start kind of looking for names above and below you. And I'm like, okay, yeah, no, I can kind of see how that guy got picked there. And, this guy maybe went a little after me. Okay. So no, it kind of caught me off guard, and it wasn't really something, I considered, to be honest. I went to the rookie camp that year, coming out of, I guess, I know all the age groups have sort of changed. Then it was major Bantam. So I went to the rookie camp, and, you only get that 2 days before you give up your NCAA eligibility. And I can remember skating and not really knowing what to expect or who else was there. And, I got out on the ice and I was playing around with the fellow draft picks that year. And I kind of thought to myself, like I can keep up with these guys. Like, this is better than I'm used to, but it wasn't, as crazy, head and shoulders above where I expected it to be. So that was kind of a bit of an eye opener, hey, maybe like a couple things go right. Maybe I'll consider this down the road, sort of thing. And then, that September trying out for my local junior A team, I was actually the first cut. And, I only lasted 2 days in the tryout, and the coach said, like, hey, you're a little behind. You need another year to grow or develop. And I said, hey, okay, that makes sense. Like, it was pretty fast there. Went to junior B, played an exhibition game in junior B, and I was just like, no, this is not for me. A very large defenseman challenged me, and that was not something I was really keen on exploring. So figured junior B wasn't for me, and honestly, I was kind of 1 foot out the door at that point. I was like, okay, I'm not junior A level. Junior B, I don't think so. And then a lady called me up from the Gloucester Minor Hockey Association, and it turns out it was Grant Clitsom's mom, and Grant Clitsom had a, he had a great NHL career before injuries cut it short. But his mom ran our minor hockey organization and called me up and said, "Hey, we've got some extra spots on the midget team this year. Noticed you haven't signed up. Like, would you consider playing?" And I just kind of said, "Okay, well, is my buddy Chris playing? Is my buddy Ryan playing?" And she's like, "Yeah, those guys are signed up." I'm like, "Great, yeah, let's do it." So I went back and played in Ottawa. It was then midget AA because we didn't have AAA. And I don't know what happened, but that year something kind of clicked, and I was able to sort of, I don't know if it was catching up to my growth spurt or gaining a little bit of confidence and sort of putting it together, but had a really good year in midget, and the Belleville Scouts started to show up to more and more games, and they'd be chatting with me afterwards and things like that. And that summer they said, "Hey, we know you want to go to school. We know we got to give you a reason not to." So they ended up, basically offering me a player card sort of right before going into camp, so that I could, go through go beyond the 48-hour tryout period without giving up any eligibility, because at that point it didn't matter because I was committed to go into Belleville. And I can remember that first day playing on Kyle Wellwood's line. It was a little bit nerve-wracking, but I'm certainly not a decision I've ever regretted.
And Mark, that's such a cool story to hear. Kind of getting a phone call, not really like the draft happened. Oh, I got drafted. We're in a situation now with the pandemic where they just had the lottery for the OHL draft. I think it was last week or the week before, and there's kids that haven't been able to play hockey. And, I now that I'm coaching, I coach the 08 Nationals, and you're coaching the age group that's getting drafted, the 06 team a year later. What advice would you have? A lot of these families that I'm talking to at the draft eligible age groups are just like, we didn't get to play. How are we going to get drafted? This, that, the other thing. Well, here's a guy who, was the captain of a storied franchise, played with guys like Kyle Wellwood, Matt Stajan, Jason Spezza, Cody McCormick, David Silverstone,
Rain Carnegie.
He was
waiting for
Bud
me to
Kelly,
jump in.
Cody Thornton, all the boys.
Yeah.
What advice would you give these families, Mark? Based on your experiences, where a lot of people now, hindsight, the draft doesn't mean anything. I was a first rounder, and I was getting tips. I'll never forget it. I don't know if you remember this, Mark, but before I stupidly asked for a trade because I didn't get 5-on-3 power play time because they put Ryan Bedard and Mike Rolifson on the 5-on-3 and sat me and you for, I think, one shift or something like that. And I was just like, that's it. And Mark's like, "Rain, what are you doing? Don't." It was like, "I'm going. I'm out of here. This is stupid. Whatever." But it was, what advice would you give these families? I mean, he told me this past, Mark, remember we were working on this play where you'd make just a diagonal pass to me on my strong side without stick handling, just shoot it top shelf, and I couldn't do it. I don't know if you remember this. It was at practice. It was either after or before practice, and it was just you and I on the ice, strong side to strong side. And you're just like, "Rain, I'm just going to give you a pass on your forehand, take it in stride, don't stick handle and release." And I couldn't do it. And I was a first rounder thinking I'm King Tut, and here's this 9th rounder, but it just goes to show the mind that you had. Like get your weight around the body. Do you remember that conversation at all?
I can picture it. Yeah, I do recall. And don't sell yourself short on that pass shot of yours that seemed to always go in anyway. But you know what? I remember that day vividly. It was a sad day for me seeing you and Michael Knight go, two of my fellow rookies coming up and playing with you guys for 2.5 years. That was a sad day to see you guys go. And, you guys went on to having, really good careers beyond that. So it wasn't necessarily a bad move on your part, but we certainly missed you.
It was because I got traded to Plymouth with Mike Knight. I dislocated my shoulder celebrating a goal at walking Dennis Weidman, one of my, I think it was the first or second game in Plymouth. Dislocated my shoulder celebrating like an idiot, like me to be back in junior hockey. And then got sent home, 3 weeks, a month later, for smoking weed at a team party with everybody else on my team, but I was the only one that got sent home. So it was a terrible choice for me. I'm happy that I ended up in Halifax, which is where you and I reconnected. But I'm disappointed in my hot-headedness at a young age because I enjoyed playing with you. You were right, and I never should have. I actually apologized to Boyder because I talked to the Ottawa 67s about 6 months ago, and I said I never should have burst into the room for you not playing me on a 5-on-3. Biggest mistake of my career.
Yeah, that was a tough year. Tempers ran hot. I don't think we finished very well that season. It was a bit of a rebuild, so understandable why you felt the way you did. But hindsight is 2020, and you look back at yourself as a 17, 18-year-old. Probably did a lot of things that you'd take a do-over on if you could, and if that's one of them, then hey. That's wisdom you get to impart on your players. If it was me giving, mid-teenager type players some advice, just back to your question, man, like I just can't relate to the situation that they're in. Like what a terrible thing that they are going through. I mean, obviously we're all going through it, but to not get to do what you love and in such an important year is really it's heartbreaking is what it is, and I've never lived that, so I can't draw on personal experience in terms of giving advice. But what would I say in terms of thinking about it? It sounds cliche, but you kind of got to keep your head down and keep the pedal to the metal and make sure that you're not losing a step to the next guy, because whoever keeps focus over this type of time period, when everybody's back on the ice, you're going to know who was doing the right things away from the crowded rink, and whether it's on an outdoor rink or whether it's on the driveway or wherever you can find space to work on your game. That's something you got to do, and you can't lose sight of it. And luckily hockey is just that much fun that I'm sure a lot of these kids are having are just itching to get out there and work on their skills. And then, hey, I went the college route, so I would not be doing that route justice if I didn't say don't lose sight of the classroom either. It should be at the very least 50-50. If you're working on if school's over or whatever and it's 4 o'clock, spend some time with your family. If you're going out to play 2 hours of hockey, you should come back in and do 2 hours of school. There's really no reason why you shouldn't, because the watching TV, watching a movie, chatting on, I don't know, I think it's TikTok. Sorry guys, I'm a little out of the
Snapchat, all those cool teeny bopper social media things.
And that's one thing, Mark. Sorry, I don't want to cut you off. That's one thing that I always was mesmerized by. Mark's be like, Mark, let's go here, let's go there. Be like, Ryan, I have we have this assignment that's due. It was and you were always a student first. Like you always had that discipline that I lacked. And so, speaking of education, you decided to go the college route. Normally, or in my experience, I should say, not normally, but in my experience, once you have the type of success that you had your overage year, you put up some really good numbers there. A lot of overagers try to go the pro route in some capacity before going to school. At least that was, my experiences. But you decided to go straight to school. Did you think before going to school that you would go pro or test those waters out, or was it school, like junior hockey's over, I'm just going to go to one of these Canadian schools with the package that I got from Belleville?
Yeah, like there are two milestones in my opinion, at least to the extent my hockey career went, two milestone decisions that you have to make along the way, and they're really hard. They're really tough decisions. One is when you're 16 and 17 and you're offered that spot on a major junior team, and on that day you have to decide if you're going to put your name on a piece of paper forego every opportunity down south of the border, playing Div 1, Div 3. Excellent route. Obviously, growing number of players come out of those leagues and make it to the highest level. That's one decision that, you know, I don't envy anyone having to make. It's a tough one. The second one was coming off of, you know, it was a good year for me personally. I continued my development and thought I had a pretty good year as an overager. But I think a lot of us are our own biggest critics, and I had to look at myself in the mirror and really say, what are my chances that I'm going to still be doing this in 10 or 15 years? Like, okay, I had a pretty good year, you know, 70, 80 points, somewhere in the teens in terms of the league and scoring. I looked at 5 of the 10 guys ahead of me and 5 of the 10 guys right below me, you know, first, second, third round picks. And I played against these guys, and I'm like, man, these guys are half a step faster than I am, or more. They are built for this. They can skate. You know, is this, unless I kind of really luck out, and some people do really luck out, in my opinion, this probably isn't going to happen for me. And you know what? I've gotten that much better the last 2 years. Who knows? If I keep developing the way I am, in 4 years when I'm done at school, if I'm that much better again, it's not like they're not signing 24, 25-year-olds to pro contracts. So for me, it was, I could pretend to say I wrestled with the idea, but it was always 95% one way and maybe 5 the other. And yeah, I've never for a second regretted that decision or thought, what if? It's just not something I've ever questioned.
Cool. And going back to, you know, what he was talking about, the OHL draft and kids not being able to play and stuff. I wanted to ask you, do you think that maybe, you know, because he mentioned you went into 9th round and, you know, you probably could have gone a lot earlier based on, you know, your career and how it went. Do you think this is maybe a good time for some of those guys that could kind of slip through the cracks and maybe go higher in the draft because they haven't been, you know, showcasing their skills or playing? And, you know, it could be a good opportunity for someone who is...
So you're saying guys that don't play themselves off a draft list because they haven't put themselves in positions.
Exactly. Like, do you think it's a good opportunity for those guys, you know, getting drafted, who are supposed to get drafted later in that OHL draft to, you know, kind of slip through the cracks and go earlier in the draft?
Yeah, I mean, it's possible because if no one has been able to watch them play for the last year and they really liked them a year ago, a lot, we all know, guys, a lot changes from 14 to 18, 19, and 20, right?
Absolutely.
A lot of guys shoot up, a lot of guys fill out, a lot of guys just get stronger because they're able to get into the gym and get working out. It is a fantastic opportunity to elevate your standing. And guys, forgive me, I don't know how they're going to do this draft. I don't know if they're doing, you know, player evaluation somehow. I don't know, socially distant.
I think they're talking about when it's safe to do so, having some sort of like prospects tournament with all the top guys that coaches have vouched for.
But yeah, that's like kind of what Mark's saying. He didn't even know there was a draft happening. Right. But now, say there was this, you know, one game, and then Mark goes out there, you know, gets a Gordie Howe hat trick or whatever, and then all of a sudden, Mark knows when the draft is because they're like, yo, you had a fantastic showing.
Right.
You're going top 2, you know? So, yeah, I just think, you know, it could go either way, though, because, you know, south of the border, they're still playing hockey, and, you know, some American kids are getting drafted to the OHL still and to juniors and stuff. So, you know, it could, you never know. It's a dicey situation. Yeah, it's a dicey one.
Another dicey situation that we wanted to talk about, and this is one of the curveballs that I had mentioned in the pregame show, is your fight with Mike Richards. What was that like? What was that? What you guys
Well,
did? What you were telling me?
I watched it the other day, so it wasn't pretty, Mark. I'm gonna be honest, it wasn't pretty. I don't think you were a fighter in juniors. It kind of showed, but Mike wasn't really a fighter either. He was just kind
He
of.
was a killer.
was-
Richie?
yeah, but,
Richie
like, he
was a
wasn't
killer.
like a-
Like when I saw that you picked him to go, I was like, wow.
What did he like? Did he make fun of your, outfit or something? Because it was after the game. You guys had just won. You're both captains of your team.
And you're a lover, not a fighter.
There's a little scrum, and then all of a sudden, Mark and Mike Richards are just going at it,
What happened?
just giving her.
That video will forever haunt me. I actually had to show it at a virtual work show and tell a couple of months ago. So now all the people I work with now have seen it, thankfully. That was a really emotional game for us. We were fighting for the seventh, eighth playoff spot. It was later in the year. Our goalie stood on his head that day, I can recall, because we probably had no business, beating the Kitchener Rangers. And I think we had won 2-1. But, Mike Richards, obviously unbelievable hockey player, had fantastic career, just played the game hard, and he was hard to play against. And I guess throughout that game, there was a couple of things I had noticed on the ice where he might have been taking some liberties with the ref looking the other way with some of our teammates. The odd two-hander in the back of the leg on the back check, like little things, subtle things that really, if you've had it happen to you, it's not fun. So, it's at the end of the game. They've got their goalie pulled. Obviously, Richards is on the ice. They're down 1, and puck goes into the corner, and whatever, we clear it out. The horn goes. And again, huge win for us. We needed those 2 points to make the playoffs. And he throws a late hit. And to be honest, I can't remember if he was throwing it on me or one of my teammates, but I went for the spear. I said, enough's enough, Mike. I've been watching you do this all game, and, I gave him a good jab. And as I jabbed him, there was a bit of another scrum kind of got in between us. And I was like, okay, good, like separation. And I could see him coming around the pile. And by then I noticed his gloves are off, and I'm just like, oh boy, I guess here we go. And so in that instant, you think back to like being 17 and jostling with the guys on the ice after practice and trying to remember some of the fighting tips, because it was my first and only OHL fight. And I'm trying to think back to 3 years ago of like, what did Gilly tell me to do here? Like, what did Macker tell me to do? Like, they said something about hold him out, like keep him far away, you can't connect. And so when you watch the video, you can tell what I was trying to maybe do. But yeah, that didn't go or end well for me. And it was the only time I think my career that I didn't actually do up my tie down. So sure enough, the jersey comes up, and anyway, I honestly, the best part of the whole thing was obviously I got escorted off the ice and the game was over. So the boys came in behind and they were just loving it. Yeah. They were just dying. It was pretty funny. No, it was it's a funny video, but I will never live that one down.
Did you say that you showed it for like a work function? What were you trying, like, what was that about? Like, why did you have to show it? Were you trying to like be the new CEO and it's like, look what I can do, boys. I took out Mike Richards and I'm a boss. Let's go. Like, what's that about?
Far from it. So I will also say that I've yet to get a job without a hockey connection into the company. So just as an aside, the network you develop as a hockey player and going through the ranks is just it's invaluable. But sure enough, so I've got a couple of guys I work with who are on my rec team now, and they're hockey guys too, and they dug up this video years ago. And one of them happens to be kind of the big boss at this point, or one of them. and he's in a pandemic world. He's worried about engagement and folks doing okay, not seeing anybody. So we would have these weekly half-hour calls just to kind of chat, catch up, whatever. And then he instituted a show and tell component. So somebody would show off their newborn or show off something they had won or what have you. They insisted that I show the video for show and tell. So I had to walk everybody through it. And as you know, if you watched it recently, the announcers aren't really, they're the home team announcers. Like they're real announcers, and they don't exactly call things in my favor there very well. So it's funny. It's always good for a laugh once every year or two when somebody sends it over to me.
That's pretty awesome. Going back though to obviously a great guy, saying how unfortunate it was for you to be traded and stuff. But I was looking at your numbers and stuff. Man, the years Rain was gone, and Knights, I think. Who was the other guy who got traded with you?
Mike Knight.
Mike Knight. When they were gone, those were like some of your better years.
Whoa! What are you trying to say? You trying to say that trade away me and Nighter?
Well, I just want to, like, what I'm getting at is, like, is it kind of like, you lost a really good friendship, but, a door kind of opened to maybe more power play time, more ice time, or, and becoming...
I wasn't getting power play time. That's why I asked for a trade.
Well, it was probably for like one game, knowing you.
It was probably just one shift.
Yeah, it was probably just one shift. But yeah, like, can you touch on that a little bit? Like maybe some doors opening up when, you guys lost. I know the team didn't do well, but you sure as hell had a pretty good season.
Yeah, no, junior hockey is an interesting thing. As you develop, you're 19 playing against 16, 17-year-olds. And obviously Rain was one of our skill guys that year. So I've honestly never thought of it this way, but there's a good chance that some power time that Rain was getting might have trickled down to me that year.
You're welcome.
Yeah, thanks, man. Really, that's the best thing that could have happened in my hockey career. It just got personal.
He goes from telling you like how sad he was that you guys are leaving, and then you're throwing a "you're welcome."
You're putting words in his mouth.
I was just asking. That's all. It's interesting, but like you said, it trickled down to more power play time. You're welcome.
It was probably more about losing my two best buddies on the team and having nothing to do after practice anymore. So I would just work out more and, focus more on hockey as opposed to going and doing laps at the Belleville Mall after practice and stuff.
Do you?
No, I actually think because, things kind of shifted for me personally a third of the way through that year. And at that point I was already kind of with two of our a 16 and a 17-year-old on a line, and we were a good line. But I think if that season had played out with Mike and Rain on the team, I actually think I numbers-wise would have had a better year because I would have been surrounded by guys like that who probably would have gotten me a few free second assists.
Oh, there you go.
You're always saving me. From the time I was 16 and you were 17, you've just always been saving me.
Like, what an answer.
Love this guy.
And you threw out the "you're welcome."
He's saying like, I apologize. I'm also saying I'm sorry. I get traded. Nighter gets traded. Shout out Mike Knight. You have spectacular end to your junior career where you put up a lot of numbers, and then you go the college route. You go to university. And you end up at St. Mary's. And coincidentally, right around this time that he ends up at St. Mary's, because I asked to be traded from one of my closest friends in hockey, I had that terrible experience in Plymouth and ended up in Halifax, which is where you went to university. And now for those of you that do not know, in the Maritimes and in hockey, in the hockey world, period, this man is royalty. I remember being in Halifax and the Mooseheads, McKinnon, Drouin, Voracek, all these guys, Ehlers, and the big stadium at the Metro Center. But everywhere I went, if I went to a bar, nobody was hanging out with the Mooseheads. They're all hanging out with the St. Mary's Huskies, because there's Mark with Kyle Doucette and Cody Thornton and all the boys, and the success that you had. I mean, you're the all-time point leader. I think this is a theme that we have. We have the all-time point leader with Michaela Grant-Mentis at Merrimack College. We have the all-time point leader for St. Mary's University, former CIS MVP, like a national MVP, like not just like the conference, like across Canada, correct? People,
Yep.
Yeah. And I mean, what was that experience like? I remember going to your house that you had right across from St. Mary's Arena, and getting my ass handed to me at beanbag toss by you, because you're just dude perfect. This guy, you ever see that dude perfect? Of
course.
Guy should be on Dude Perfect. I went to a cottage with him and his now wife, at the time girlfriend, and we were playing, and I was with Mike Danton on the team, and it was Ranny and Ryan Rohrbeck, who our last guest.
Yeah.
We talked about Ryan Rohrbeck on our last episode. We were playing. What was it? Field goals? Was it field goals?
We'd invented our own cottage game. Yeah.
We invented our own.
The best games.
The best games. And I was by far the worst field goal kicker in league history, and I thought I was so nice. And here's Rohrbeck and Rancourt, and I felt so bad for Mike Danton. He could not buy a win because he had no teammate. It was like he would kick him, and then I would go up and it'd just be like I was stubbing my toe. Oh, it was the worst. It was the worst experience I had. Not only did I get my ass kicked, I also got an injury. But Mark, you're just a legend. So what was that experience of being at St. Mary's? Obviously school. You won, I think, a big time school educational award at St. Mary's as well, if I'm not mistaken. One of the 5 years that you were there. What was that? What was that CIS college experience like?
Yeah, I mean, first off, I will say that you're still the best hype guy that I've ever met. You can walk around any city, anytime, and I will happily walk beside you if you're gonna lead with stuff like that. So you are the hype king. It was fantastic. Like, I mean, Halifax. Halifax is just such a phenomenal city to live in and go to school in. St. Mary's is kind of the smaller, one of the smaller schools in that city. Dal's obviously the big one that gets sort of a lot of the national and international recognition, but St. Mary's has a really, really good hockey program, and they always have. The coach who actually just retired after 23 or 24 years, Trevor Steinberg, he's a heck of a recruiter, and just a phenomenal guy, phenomenal coach, and that was the school that I spoke to that gave me the best chance to sort of advance my hockey skills, my abilities. It was the one that I knew I was going to get a good chance to learn from some of the older guys. I was coming in, and they had a couple of stud fourth year players in Ryan Lozon and Brad Self, who played in Peterborough. Just a really good opportunity to not only go to a great city, a great school, a smaller school, which I really liked the idea of that, not just kind of being a number, having the ability to get to know your professors if you could. And yeah, I also happen to have some family out on the East Coast, so family wise, it made a lot of sense. So made mom happy that I went out East, and anytime you can make your mom happy, you do it.
Very cool.
Amazing.
And then sort of on the school front, I learned, and everybody should understand this. If you work hard at school, there are literally thousands of scholarships available. And like, they don't even, there's so many opportunities. And I found that out like halfway through my first semester. I'm like, wait a minute, all I have to do is keep, an average over this much, and somebody's actually going to give me money to do that. And so, not that I needed the extra kick in the butt, but, that was a nice sort of carrot to chase after. And, we had a lot of fun on and off the ice in Halifax, but, never lost sight of what I was there for. And that was to get a good degree and do my best in the school, in the classroom.
Nice. And then I was going to say, though, like, no wonder people were gravitating towards Marc. He's at school, and then you're also trying to play, like, college games against the guy. Of course he's kicking your butt in them. Like, come on, like, inventing games with...
I'm telling you.
Beer pong's a thing. I know you guys are playing beer pong, but you don't want to challenge a college student or a university kid to beer pong.
Like, even going back to Belleville, okay? You get gifts at Christmas time from your billets and stuff like this, and I'll never forget to this day. I don't know what I got from my billet for Christmas, but I remember Marc getting a Movado watch one year from his billet. Was that for Christmas or a birthday present? I can't remember. But he had a Movado watch. He lived in this big mansion. This man is just perfect. I call him Dude Perfect because you can't beat him in a trick shot game. Yeah. You can't beat him in beanbag toss. You can't beat him anywhere.
Invented cottage games.
Invented college games. Like, I was like, he's not going to be good at football. Like, he's not going to be. And then you just see these perfect, just right through the wickets. And just like, and then every time I would go, it'd just be like, we're not playing soccer. We're playing football. Kick a straight field goal. Just like, it was the worst. But Marc, I mean, you're in Halifax, and you said something there that was profound to me. You didn't lose sight on why you were there. And that, to me, is a little bit like you were recruited to play hockey for St. Mary's, but you said that your focus, it wasn't lost on you, that the reason you were there is to get a good education and earn a degree. A lot of athletes, I find, wouldn't have that same perspective. Like, I remember when you were trying to get me to go to St. Mary's, and I wish I would have done that in hindsight because I would have had a championship. I've never won a championship other than Finland Division III. Bullshit. But, I just, it's so nice to hear somebody that had a career like you, forget about what you accomplished professionally because you're doing extremely well. But to have that mentality, but also, I mean, in 2008, to have that type of production and you were just focused on books and getting scholarships. I mean, I'm looking here, and I think the total was 57 points in 28 games. So the year before you had 51, and then for an encore, you decided that you wanted to get a few more points.
Step it up a little bit. That's over 2 points. Like, my math, I'm not Marc Rancourt, but like just some quick math, that's over 2 points per game. That's almost unheard of. And as I was doing research, Marc, you made reference to Trevor Steinberg. What a great guy. And I met him a bunch of times through Marc and through him trying to recruit me to go to St. Mary's as well. And one of the articles that I came across was back the year that you won the MVP award nationally. And longtime coach and former first-round pick to the Quebec Nordiques, no longer here, but what cool jerseys. I think he went 15th overall, Trevor Steinberg. Wow.
And he's quoted as saying that you were one of the most skilled players in his 12 years at that time, but now it's over 23 since he's retired, to ever play in the CIS. He's quoted as saying that in the Toronto Star. When you hear things like that from such a legend in Steiny, how does that make you feel? Can you explain? Like, I don't have any former first round legends like Steinberg talking about me like that. Like, that's amazing. That's such a compliment, I would imagine.
Yeah, obviously those are pretty meaningful comments, and the best part is I know how painful it must have been for him to say that about me. Just sometimes we butted heads on and off the ice, but no, he look. It was those 2 years you referenced, and my I guess second last year. That was just one of those magical years. Like, everything you touch, goes in. You chip the puck out, your center goes and gets it and dangles the D and scores. Our power play ran at like 35 or 40%, which certainly helps put up some good numbers. And yeah, we just had some like I said, everything we did kind of went right up until the Nationals, where everything came to kind of a screeching halt. But yeah, no, we were just really good that year. Like I said, we had Cody Thornton, fellow Belleville Bull, Cam Fergus, 55 goals in the queue, and many more in CIS, and I believe he's probably the top scorer in Allen Cup history as well by now. And then the Hotham brothers, who were fantastic. That was our power play, and I can't go through all 15, 20 other names, but everybody kind of played a part in that season, and it was a fun one. That was one I won't forget.
And so you have that magical MVP season, and then you said Nationals, things kind of fell off the rails a little bit. What happened? What happened there? Were you guys the favorites to win Nationals that year?
Yeah. So it's funny, and I'll hopefully this isn't too long of a story, but we were in the AUS final, which is the Eastern Collegiate Conference, and we were playing against the University of New Brunswick, which is just perennially ranked 1, 2, or 3. I think they win every second year now. They're the New York Yankees of the CIS, and they're fantastic. It's literally playing against a team from a different league when you'd go up against these guys. And we got it was a best-of-3 final, and we got pumped in the first game at UNB. And we came back, and we came to practice on a Saturday. And Steiny, we didn't actually practice that day. He just had a very open and honest conversation with all of us in the dressing room. And by the time he was done, our practice time was over. And he was like, well, I guess we're not practicing today. I'll see you guys at the game tomorrow. And it was a pretty hot and heavy and very, very deep and conversation that he had with us. And certainly everybody left there reflecting. Anyway, we storm back. We win the next 2 games. So we win the AUS championship. UNB kind of gets the buy-in. At the time, there were 6 teams to going to Nationals and only 3 conferences. So that year it might have been 2, 2, and 2 kind of thing. We go into what was kind of the semifinals, but it was a weird setup because there were 3 teams in each division, and the top team from each division would play in the final. So we won our first game and ran into a very weird situation where we were playing the University of Western, having to only lose by 2 or less. So we could lose the game by 2 goals and still go to the final. And that's just foreign, right? Like how do you mentally wrap your head around that? Not to mention we were on paper a better team than they were. We were probably heavily favored to win that game. And I can remember Kyle Doucette actually scored a goal late in the second period, and it got disallowed. And and I'm an honest guy, and I can take a pretty even keel approach to things. It was a bad call. Like, it should have been a goal. But anyway, second period's end, as we're in the dressing room, it's 2-2. We're like, boys, we're fine. Like, they can score 2 goals. We're fine. And then just the wheels fell off. I think they scored 5 or 6 unanswered in the third. And it was the worst I have ever felt after a hockey game. A terrible way to end a season. It's my 4th year, so this is where you were with your fellow rookies for 4 years, and you battle through thick and thin for 4 years, and to have it end like that was pretty devastating. And it's definitely it's something I will never forget, and I will never get over it. It still hurts. But yeah, hey, live and learn, and we had to move on.
That's the competitor in him. It still burns to this day.
Yeah.
I would think when you rectify what happened the year before, the very next year, that you would kind of find some solace. You'd just be like, oh, okay, I got over the hump. So the following year, after suffering this tragedy, and we hear this all the time, it takes, you have to lose before you can win. Did that experience, that group that you talked about, 4-year guys, you had 4 years from your rookie season, what was that off season like to prepare you for what would be your championship year, and also the arrival of somebody that had at that time, and I think will always have, unfortunately, and I know this man now, and I think he's a hell of a guy, but he had this huge spotlight in Mike Danton. Here he is, coming back to play hockey for the first time in however long, right after you guys have the devastating end to your year, the year before, and now you guys are coming in hungry, but here's, like, what was that experience like? How were you able to, and now you're the captain as well, right? Were you the captain the year that you lost?
Oh yeah, unfortunately. Yeah, no, great question. And I mean, just in terms of motivation for the off season, that was by far the hardest I ever worked in an off season. I wish I had actually worked that hard every off season. But certainly the fire was burning that year, and there was no holding back. Yeah, we started that year, so we lost some key guys. So we had some of our really good players and really good character guys move on after that loss to Western, and so the next year we kind of got off to a bit of a rocky start. I think by Christmas, we might have been a game or two over 500, maybe sitting third, fourth, fifth in the standings, and yeah, I can't recall, but I do think it was closer to mid to late January that Trevor Steinberg comes into the dressing room and says, "Hey guys, you won't believe who I just got a call from." We're all kind of like, "Who Steiny? Like, what? Just get to the point." And he's like Mike Danton. He's looking for a place to play, and everybody was just kind of like, "Mike Danton? Like, what do you mean? Like, what do you mean Mike Danton's looking for a place to play?" And he's just kind of laughing it off. He's like, "Yeah," but basically told him like, "Okay, yeah, we'll think about it, but probably won't call him back." And we're all kind of like, "What? Okay, well, that's weird. You don't come across that situation every day." And a few of us went home and actually were like, "Hold on a sec, like, where are we at in, like, as hockey players, as in society, really, if we're not going to give a guy a second chance?" And to just laugh it off and dismiss it, like, guy's been in jail for 6 years. We're not really bringing him on thinking he's going to, score end-to-end goals every year, but we know what kind of player he was. He was a hard-nosed guy. He would run through walls for his teammates, and that remains the kind of guy he is. But it just didn't feel right to not hear the guy out. Let's talk to him, Steiny. Let's see what he's got. He's like, "You know what? Sure. Here's his number. Call him up." So we called him up, Cody Thornton and I, and we had a good chat with him. And he obviously has a very interesting perspective on life and where he was at the time. And we had some questions for him. He had some questions for us, and went into the rink the next day and said, "Steiny, I think we got to give the guy a chance." And he's like, "Well, I'm not going to our school president with this one." He's like, "You're going." And I was like, "What do you mean?" He's like, "I'm not doing it. Like, write a letter, get the whole team to sign it, and then I'll deliver the letter." I was like, "Holy crap, okay." So went home. Luckily, I had a good buddy doing my MBA with at the time who was a very polished wordsmith. And we sat down in front of the laptop, and I wish I still had the letter, but we wrote a letter that nobody could say no to. Like, you could not
an offer they couldn't refuse.
Yeah, there was no way our president was gonna turn us down on that one. Brought it to the dressing room the next day, read it out to everybody. Everybody but one signed it that day, and the guy who didn't came back the next day and signed it, and we we sent it off, and sure enough, a couple weeks later, Mike showed up in time to join.
Yeah, I just had a quick question. The guy who needed the extra day, was that the guy who Mike took his spot? Was he just like, I'm going to be a healthy scratch now? Why was the guy like, everybody signs it? It's just like, I need a day.
You know what? We know Mike now, so we can joke about it. But like, guy went to jail for murder for hire. He's associated with one of the most infamous names in Canadian junior hockey. That's intimidating. Mm-hmm. And I think this individual just needed some time to wrap his head around it, and all the power to him. Nobody forced him to do anything. He said, hey, you sign if and when you're ready. And he said, just give me a day. I don't know what I'm going to do, but give me a day. And sure enough, he came back. But no, it was not a guy taking his spot. He was actually a defenseman. So that wasn't his issue. But yeah, no, he got to us. Like I said, I think it was around mid-January. Instant, injection of energy, I will say, and life. Mike likes to talk. He talks a lot, and he talks loud. And it didn't take him long to endear himself with the boys. He's obviously got the most interesting life of anybody I know, and has some really good stories. And he really is just a really he's a really loyal teammate. Like if anybody took a liberty with one of his line mates, he was right there in his face, and he took a lot of abuse on the ice. Like guys were not holding back on the chirps and the corners and the scrums, like things that actually made me stop and say, are you kidding me? Like, and how are you saying that? Like, what's wrong with you? But hey, he took it in stride. He knew it was coming, and he got past it. And whether or not he was the injection we needed to right the ship on our team, I'm sure he was certainly a big part of it. But we finished that year. We won our last 11 regular season games, so we certainly went into the playoffs in good shape.
Pretty cool. What a great story too. Like that just kind of, I was going to ask you about captaincy and being, having the C on your shoulder for some of the teams that you've been through, like being the captain of Belleville. Like you were, like Rain said, you went in the 9th round, and then all of a sudden, you're captain of the Belleville Bulls.
And it's not often that a late round pick is the captain of a junior team. Like, let's be honest, it's normally a kid that's drafted to the show, or a kid that's been on the team for a long period of time that was a high draft pick, maybe a 5-year guy. So that's just a testament. I think that our viewers are gonna, like, we've been now talking for an hour. They can see that this man's character and his leadership.
So like today I saw a video on, Instagram or something. It was Patrice Bergeron staying after practice. He's the captain of the Bruins. Everyone knows, what an amazing captain he is. And he was picking up all the pucks. And like, I know that's not like, whoa, like, but like, you're Patrice Bergeron. You played over 1,000 games.
Could you imagine Matt Coughlin picking up pucks when we were rookies?
Like, for real though, like you played over 1,000 games, but that's kind of just like that, without saying it, like I'm not above anybody in this, dressing room on this team. I'm still one of you, and I'm just holding this like letter on my shoulder. Yep. But like being a captain of the Belleville Bulls, being a captain for St. Mary's, and like the story with Mike Danton and having to like, call him up, putting that pressure on you. Like, how did you kind of deal with the pressure of being a captain and a leader, and, knowing you're the captain going into the season? How would you kind of approach it?
Yeah, I mean, and obviously Patrice Bergeron is like a legendary leader, and would have been the captain a lot sooner in Boston had it not been for, Chara being also a legendary leader.
For sure.
You know what? You gotta, I was fortunate. Like my first year, Rain just mentioned his name, Matt Coughlin. Matt Coughlin gave me a pretty rough ride, but it set me up to be stronger and ready to handle adversity both on and off the ice. So while I don't know if that was his intent the whole time, it had some favorable outcomes. Cody McCormick, just like I think his junior write-up said he oozes leadership, and that pretty much nails it. That guy just commands respect. Andrew Brown, like very similarly. Sorry, I'm running through my captains in junior. Just what a phenomenal group of character people to learn from. And it's like anything else. You watch other people and how they conduct themselves and how they interact with their teammates, and you steal their ideas. You say, I like how Cogs does that. I'm going to start doing that. I like how Macker does that. I'm going to start doing that. Brownie handled that situation perfectly. I need to remember that. And you just kind of you steal what you like, and you sort of start building it into your the way you conduct yourself, and really that's all you can do. You certainly can't fake it. I don't think. And then, yeah, in terms of preparing for a season like the one we had where Mike joined our team, like I joke about Steiny being kind of dismissive and stuff, but just to be clear, like Mike Danton doesn't join that team, and we don't win the national championship without Trevor sort of at the helm of our group there. So again, if you're surrounded by good people and other good leaders, you know, whether you're wearing the C or not, you're in a pretty easy spot to succeed as a captain, an alternate captain, or even an informal captain.
Very cool.
Great answer.
Yeah, I was like, well, that's a wrap on the captaincy, because you know, we in an earlier episode we do our segment penalty part of the game, and that was one of our topics was, you know, letters on jerseys. And as coaches now, we kind of had different perspective and answers. You know, it was a couple episodes ago, so we've kind of come full circle on it, but it's cool now because we've talked to like Adam Dennis, who's a GM, even Mike Fuda a few episodes ago, and now that I'm, you know, hearing them speak and yourself, like how important these letters are, not just like as, hey, that's the captain, he's your best player, but just like the lessons that, you know, come with,
well, I think,
and the leadership and just all that.
See, I'm gonna disagree with what you're trying to say a little bit. I think what Mark was trying to say is he was able to be the best leader that he was because of the relationships and the teammates that he had that also exuded those qualities, whether they had a letter or they didn't. There was just a good group of guys that were doing the right things to lead to team success. I think that's kind of what your point was, Mark, is that it wasn't just you, it was the people that were around you that helped make that environment a winning culture.
Yeah, I don't think you can be a good captain without a good team beneath you. If we just talked about Patrice Bergeron, if you stick him on a team with 10 or 15 cancers, he's not going to turn that team around. You might do it short term. Guys might, you know, pony up and smarten up, but eventually they'll go back to their old ways, and you've got the best leader in the world who can't even convince those guys to, you know, work together as a team. So yeah, generally speaking, in my opinion, if you see a good leader, you've got a pretty solid group in the dressing room too.
And I don't know what you were disagreeing with. I was just kind of putting it out there that, like, how important.
I just like to disagree with you sometimes.
How important a letter on a jersey is. That's all I was saying. But anyways, I was going to say, cool thing, I saw that you played in the Pan Am games for Canada. Like, it was that, like, what was that about? Like, I didn't even know they had, like, a Pan Am.
And why didn't you call me to be a part of that team?
Like, just touch on that, and then maybe, like, you know, I guess was that your most recent season of hockey? Did you play after that? And, you know, like, are you?
I want to know after you have this legendary career in U Sport, all-time point leader. You only play, it looks like, 2.5 years of pro. Now, normally, guys that have the career, in my experience, Joel Ward, didn't even have a career like that. I love Joel Ward, but he is not as decorated as my boy Marc Rancourt in U Sports, in my opinion.
Yep.
Right? Why were the Ottawa Senators not calling you after what you did for St. Mary's? Or the Leafs. I know you don't like the Leafs.
And then how did you go to the Pan Am games?
Okay, lots to go over there. Why didn't the Ottawa Senators call? Hey, I would have loved to have gotten a call from Ottawa, but I knew my shot wasn't. Guys, sometimes you just know if it's not. If you're, there comes a point in every guy's career that he just knows, and busting my butt going to school for 5 years, still hadn't shored up the glaring weaknesses in my game, being skating, speed, and physicality. The three pretty important things. So no, I headed overseas and had a great time. Like played a year in Germany. Hockey wasn't. I didn't meet my expectations in Germany personally, and I won't make excuses for it, because there are no excuses. I didn't perform to the level that I should have performed when I was there, and then the following year, Ryan Rohrbeck had graduated, and I said, hey Ryan, where are we going to go play? And he had heard good things about Idaho. Sure enough, 3 days into training camp, he drove home because he didn't like it, and I was kind of there by myself at that point. But no, things were gearing up for me. I was in good shape for that season. I was ready to go, and then literally my first shift in the East Coast Hockey League, I was forechecking on a hard rim power play dump in. So I was coming down the pipe, and the goalie stopped it behind the net, and he stepped out and went to clear it, and I kind of turned my head and took it right in the jaw. And I was like, geez, that hurts. But told the trainer, went off and said, hey, took it in the face. He's like, yeah, it's not bleeding. I'm like, okay, well, whatever. So played out the first period, and then sure enough, first shift of the second period, I got hit awkwardly and popped my shoulder out. So at least I was done for the game at that point. And I was like, geez, this league sucks. Five days later, I finally got in for an X-ray, and my jaw was like completely split. Like there was just a clean break through my jawbone. So I had to get wired shut for 6 weeks. Luckily, I was missing a front tooth, so I was able to spoon some solid foods in there and keep some weight on. But that was a tough 6 weeks, and I was down 15 pounds, which is not natural for me to be below 200. Came back. My role had sort of shifted from first. At the time, I was on the first line, and in the East Coast League, there's only 3 lines, so I was sort of playing third line center, and figured out how to carve a niche for myself there, because I knew I didn't have the stamina yet. Like I knew I didn't have the strength or the endurance to do what I would have liked to be doing. So I kind of carved myself a role as like a strong defensive type player, kill penalties, and then also play some power play. But then I would say a month and a half after that, I got hit awkwardly again, and the shoulder went again. And I was just like, this is definitely my last year. This is not fun anymore. But sure enough, Sam Roberts, who I know Rain played against in the Q, he was playing out in Austria, and gave me a call and just said, hey, one of our imports just got his passport. He's not an import anymore. We got room for one more. You want to come? I'm like 3 days away from returning from a shoulder injury. Does that work with you guys? He's like, yep, come on over. So played a couple of months in Austria. It was a nice little swan song for me. Got to know Sammy real well. Awesome guy. So made another lifetime friend there. And moved out to Calgary. Do you still want to hear the Pan Am story? Because it's a weird one.
Yeah, let's hear that.
Oh, okay, so the Pan Am story. This is like, it's the most messed up story. I'm sitting having lunch with Nathan Beausoleil, who was a guy I played against growing up. He's from Cornwall, and he went to Cornell. No, sorry, that's wrong. Clarkson, and then ended up at St. Mary's as well. So we got to know each other better at university. Anyway, we were both in Calgary together, going for lunch, and we both get this text from a buddy, and our buddy's name is Ross, and he's like, "Hey guys, this is gonna sound really weird, but you're gonna get an email from a guy named Ross, not me, a different Ross. He's gonna send you an email. If you respond with your passport information and $200, you're going to go down to Mexico City and play for Team Canada in the Pan American Games." And we're both like, "What?"
Is that Ross McKay?
Ross McCain. So Ross McCain was sending us this information talking about Ross McLean, who's also from Halifax and worked for Hockey Canada. So we're like, what kind of scam is this? Like, who stole Ross's phone and who wants our passport info? But we just kind of like talked about it for 5 minutes. Like, to me, this might be like a gamble worth taking. Like $200. Yeah. Okay. It's $200. I don't want to lose $200, but like, I also don't want to lose out on a chance to go play for Team Canada in Mexico City. So sure enough, like 2 days later, we get our itineraries. We're going to Mexico City. We've got like flights paid for. What had happened was Canada had committed a team to the Pan American Games. Mexico was building out this brand new rink. It was like a 4,000 seat rink right in Mexico City. And Canada had committed to go just to kind of add some credibility to the tournament. And the US had committed. Colombia was there. Argentina was there, Brazil was there, and Mexico was there. And we had a senior B team from BC that had committed to going. They were just going to send their whole team, but their team made it further in the playoffs than they had expected, so they had to back out 10 days before the tournament. So Hockey Canada asks Ross McLean and a couple of other guys, like, just find 20 guys to go to Mexico City and play in the Pan American Games. And so, hey, we landed. It was honestly, I don't want to, come across as ignorant or anything like that. But in a lot of ways, it was like going to an all-inclusive and then playing hockey every afternoon. It was unbelievable. There was a handful of guys from Ottawa, like absolute riot, that crew. A handful of guys from Halifax, unreal guys. Bunch of guys from Calgary. It was just a mismatch of just a bunch of guys. And sure enough, like Argentina might have sent the 20 people who own skates. In Argentina, they practice them all on plastic ice. Like it's and Brazil, very similar. Colombia actually had this guy who had gone to like NCAA Div 3, so he was scoring like 5 goals a game, and certainly kept it close against us. But no, it was a lot of fun. And you know what? Like the Argentinians and the Brazilians, like they were like awesome. Like they were so cool, so great to like talk to them in between games at the hotel. It was just such an awesome experience and just so random and out of the blue. We ended up playing Mexico in the final. Mexico was pretty good. Mexico was probably like, I mean this as a compliment. Like they were a good junior B team. Okay. Like they could skate. Okay. They could skate. They were smaller, so they didn't necessarily have the ability to like run you through the boards or anything, but they could fly. Like they were buzzing around there, and our goalie had to play really well. The score ended up 7-0, but it could have been a lot closer. They did play better than the score showed, and Yeah.
How
it
many
was
points did you have in the finals? Was it point night for you?
I don't remember, Rain.
Okay.
I don't
Well,
remember.
the scary thing is that this tournament's contact from what you're describing. Like, were you guys? Did you kind of pump the brakes on that aspect, or was it just like put them through the boards? Let's go.
No, we were some of our guys were very excited to be on Team Canada,
Yeah.
and it was hard to get them to kind of come down a little bit. Yeah.
I don't mean
if
to
you
laugh.
guys-
I
No,
don't mean
but
to
like
laugh.
it's crazy story because I read that. Like I said, I had to bring it up because I'm like, what? Like Canada, Pan Am. So wait, do you have a gold medal? Like, do you have a Pan American Games gold medal?
I have a gold medal. It's about this big.
Okay,
And this happens to be my storage closet.
Oh yeah, let's see it. This is awesome.
Like this is an authentic
Wow.
Team Canada.
Ooh.
Team Canada,
There
like
he is.
they made us feel like we were actually on Team Canada.
That's
Incredible.
amazing.
Technically, we were, I guess.
Yeah, for sure you were.
I think we earned like 3 points for our IIHF Canada standings in the world rankings or something. Somebody said that. I don't know if they were joking or not. But no, what an experience! And honestly, the most memorable part of that whole tournament was there was this 16 or 17-year-old kid on Brazil, and after the gold medal game, we got back to the hotel, and he was holding up his Brazil jersey, and didn't spoke broken English, and he was just like trade, and I was like trade, and I was like okay, like what do you want? He's like anything, pin, hat, shirt, like whatever. And so I'm like, okay, like I think they'd given us a couple of golf shirts and a hat to kind of just wear to and from the game. So I'm like, okay, maybe I'll give him like a golf shirt or whatever. So I'm like, yeah, like follow me up to our room or whatever. So we go up the hotel, and again, we can't really talk because we're not speaking the same language, and go into my dressing room or into my hotel room, and like right there is my golf shirt that I was going to give to him. And then right beside it is the away jersey, the away Team Canada jersey. And I'm just like, I can't give this guy a golf shirt. Like this kid's trading me his jersey. Like it's got to be a fair 1-for-1.
Nice.
So I grabbed the jersey instead, and I hand it over to him, and like instantly just starts bawling his eyes out.
Wow.
He is just like so excited. He's like shaking, holding up this Team Canada hockey jersey, and it was just such a cool moment that I won't forget.
I'm sure if that call came, ringing again for you, you'd be at that tournament every year if you could, by the sounds of it.
Ross.
Oh yeah.
Ross, I just went on a 6-kilometer bike ride today, trying to get my fitness back in check, Mark. So Ross, if there's another, give your boy a call. I'm making a comeback.
I'll go too,
experience.
come on.
You have to be able to skate.
Listen, at this point in our careers, I think I'm the better player now. Finally, I have surpassed Ray Carnegie in the hockey world.
On that
It's
note,
taken a long time, but
Sounds like a television event, guys. Maybe even pay-per-view. You guys go toe-to-toe.
but on that note, what we're saying is, you like you mentioned earlier in the show, hockey's brought all these great relationships and connections. What are you doing now? Like anything to do with hockey, or is that kind of, in the past now and you're focusing, on other things in your life?
Yeah, I mean, hockey's obviously going to be a huge part of my life. I owe so much to hockey. Like, literally, I think I mentioned it earlier. Like, I still, apart from my job as a Wendy's fry guy when I was 15, I've yet to get a job without, somebody from my hockey network either putting a good word or bringing the role to my attention. So hockey is always there. But no, I moved out here to Calgary in 2012 and started working for a real estate development company. Met some guys who work at a bank out here, and had some good conversations with them for a couple of years until finally taking the plunge and moving over to the current bank that I work at, ATB Financial. It's a Alberta-based bank, the last one in Canada that's still owned by the province, and really loving it. It's a really cool culture. I get to work not only with cool people, cool clients, but doing some finance stuff on the side, and or not on the side, on a day-to-day basis, up until most recently taking a new role where I actually get to oversee a team of really, really strong people. So I'm loving life. I still watch hockey when I can. My kids are only 2 and 4, so we're not spending all our time at the rink or anything like that yet. But I certainly hope one of them finds the same love for hockey as I did, and if even better if it's both of them. But no, I expect to be back at a rink soon through my kids. But yeah, that'll ultimately be up to them.
That's awesome. Yeah. And then you said you still watch hockey. Born in Ottawa, I take it you're a Sens fan?
I am a Sens fan, yeah.
Okay.
Probably the only one in Calgary.
Yeah, so, since you don't have a dog in the race this playoff coming up, Toronto and Montreal, we're both diehard Leaf fans. Toronto and Montreal going head-to-head. First round of the playoffs since like the 70s or something.
Something ridiculous.
First time they've met in the playoffs. If you had the, gun to your head, who would you rather see move on?
It's a good question, and I have to be careful how I answer it, because if I answer it one way, we're going to be in an argument for the next hour, or we can just answer the question and move to the next one. So I'm a little bit conflicted here, but from the games I saw, Montreal played the Leafs really well. Montreal started the year really good. They're built well. They're built from the back end out. They're deep up front. It's just going to come down to shutting down the big dogs in Toronto. If they do that, they'll move on. If they don't, Toronto could move on quite easily. And it would certainly be cool to see, not that I have a horse in the race, but it would be cool to watch an Edmonton Toronto second round matchup with all the firepower on those two teams.
Yeah, that'd be great for hockey.
That'd be amazing.
Yeah.
That'd be amazing. But the Ottawa Senators, I know, sad to see them not advance to the postseason, I guess. But they do have some guys over there that I actually really like. Mm-hmm. Brady Tkachuk, Shabbat. Now if they had a goaltender and 18 other players around him. I mean, Connor Brown.
Josh Norris is having a good year. He's a good player.
He's a good player. No, he's no Maple Leaf.
They got a long way to go, though, I think.
They got a long way to go. But, Mark, I can't thank you enough, brother, for giving us your time today, sharing your stories, and lending your experience to our audience that I think are going to take a lot out of listening to what you had to say. We want to offer you the opportunity, like we do with all of our guests. We do a segment called Penalty or Part of the Game. And if you have, 15 more minutes, we'd love to have you to lend your opinion on what our topic is today. Do you have time?
Fire away.
All right.
Fire away. Here we are.
So, going to our segment, Penalty
or Part of the Game. Penalty or Part of the Game.
All right,
let's go.
So, this week's topic of penalty or part of the game, Mark actually kind of said something that was related to it earlier in our episode. Today's topic of penalty or part of the game is video review, video replay. What I was alluding to was when Mark talked about that goal that was disallowed, and he was like, it was a bad call.
Bad call.
So obviously with video review, it would have helped his case there.
Potentially,
But-
he could have been a biased participant. He's
For
saying,
sure.
like, I'm unbiased, I'm telling you it was a goal.
Yeah.
But maybe he really isn't as unbiased as he says he is. Who knows?
Exactly.
Who
right?
knows?
But I think it's pretty cool because obviously, technology and where we're headed.
Yep.
Like video review is obviously in the game to stay. But it's more like, how far do we go with it? Are we gonna stop the game, review every single play, or what to review, what not to review? So it's a cool topic, and today's topic, video review. Mr. Carnegie, we usually start with Rain, so we'll start with Rain. Hopefully, him and I disagree, and then
Hopefully.
yeah, we
Whose
usually
side- whose side are you on?
we usually do, and then hopefully you'll be the deal breaker.
So I'm going to say that video review, as it stands right now, for me, needs to be expanded upon. I think that the game is so fast, and we're all human and we make mistakes. We now have the technological advances that we have the ability to make sure that we don't miss, the right call. So I think that wherever there's a discrepancy, as long as it's, if you say that you want to go to review and the review turns out to be the right call and you're disputing it, then there should be some sort of reprimandation. Not recommendation. What's the word I'm looking for?
I don't know.
Reprimand.
Sure.
Thank you. Reprimandation. I'm thinking of recommendation and reprimand. You need to be penalized for wasting the time of the game. So I think that we should be expanding on it because we have the ability to do so, to make the game as pure as possible. I understand that it's going to add a little bit on, but that's what marketing is for.
Yeah.
So fill in those gaps with marketing and advertising, and that's going to allow us to bring in more revenue for a sport that needs more revenue when you look at the major sports venues that are out there, and also allow the game to be more pure because we're going to get more accurate decisions.
So, as it stands now, it's a
As
penalty.
it stands right now, it's a part of the game, but it could be more. I would want it.
Yes.
Anytime you have a discrepancy, you run the risk of, if you get it wrong, 2-minute power play for the opposing team.
Yeah.
If you get it right, then you're right. Then you don't have to worry about blowing up after and getting fined by the league for saying something inappropriate about the officiating and this, that, and the other thing, or having years later, like Mark, that was a goal. I'm telling you that was a goal, right? So now with the advancement of technology, why not? I know it's annoying, but for the integrity of the game, I think that we should be doing more.
Yeah. So, all right, good answer. It's a little wishy-washy, but good answer. For what I'm going to say is just, I'm going to say it's a penalty, but it could be a part of the game and a big part of the game.
Sounds a little wishy-washy to me as well.
If they review the right things. So right now, they're reviewing offsides. Like, to me, a play could go on for like 2 minutes. And then, the guy's on his iPad up top in the press box or on the bench, wondering, was his skate off the ice? I know they've kind of altered that rule now. The skate can be off the ice, whatever. What I'm getting at it though is, like, if you're gonna be, nitpicking over, a thing like offside, then why aren't we going back and looking at like a missed high stick, or like why aren't we looking at all of it? So I think they're focusing on the wrong things. I think it's a great idea and it is good for the game for missed calls. But what I think, let's just focus on, did the puck cross the line or not? Let's use video review for the one thing. Like offsides, growing up playing, as both of you I know have, had these great careers, and myself as a men's leaguer. I just find that, like, how many times is the guy offside where you're just like, or you cheat a little bit? It's part of the game, you know what I mean? So I just think, like, they're focusing on the wrong things. And it's either, for me, do everything, review all of the plays, or review none. It's like one or the other. Stop, trying to figure out, all right, let's review this. Like, stop that. Like, you're slowing down the game and you're taking the human aspect out of it.
Mark, Monsieur?
Yeah, arbitrator. You guys both bring up good points. I guess I'm more siding with Britain. I think it's crazy to call goals, even review goals based on an offside. I get it. I've been on the wrong end of an offside call that ended up in my net. To me, you're going too far back in time within the game to actually halt it. And the way they do it now, it could literally be a minute later if they've held the puck in the zone. Like, I'm sorry, yes, that offside changes things, but it certainly isn't playing a factor that late into the play. So that's one where I don't think I'm alone in saying I have a bit of frustration around whenever they do call it back. But goals are important. The only iffy one is again that goaltender interference one, because it's always going to be subjective. It's always going to be some guy in New York's opinion, and whatever decision he makes is going to go against the head coach of the other team's opinion.
Yeah.
And they're going to complain about it after in the press conference, because that's what they have to do to try to move the needle one way or the other for their next game. It's a tough one, but for me, it should stick to, did the puck cross the line or not, and did it get there legally within the parameters of the net, not offside or icing or whatever else is being considered at this point. I think it's just it's disengaging.
For sure. Nice. Good answer.
Sorry,
Yeah,
Ryan.
great answer until the Leafs lose in Game 7 because Cole Caulfield is in the hash marks. The puck's in the neutral zone, and he's in the breakaway because he was 10 feet inside.
Then, you know what?
And everyone's like, "Oh, what do you mean he's offside?"
Listen, the Leafs already
the ref
lost.
The ref was looking at whoever's
Well, that's
manning
what I'm
the camera
saying.
because
Like,
there's
either
no fans.
open the floodgate. Like, they're just reviewing the wrong things right now. Like,
Review everything.
well,
Review
one or the
everything, but
other.
be penalized if you get it wrong.
Well, look at Gretzky, the high stick on Dougie Gilmore.
That wasn't a high stick. That was a left tap.
He was bleeding. You're a Leaf fan.
I'm a Gretzky fan, though. I'm a Gretzky fan.
They wanted LA to go. Anyways, we can go down that rabbit hole forever. Mark, man, thanks so much for joining us. I unfortunately didn't know a lot about you coming onto the show, and Rain, the hyper bull Rain, he was just like, this guy's awesome, great guy to have on the show and a great guest. And,
I'm telling you right now, one of the greatest men that I ever met, playing the game of hockey or in my journey, coaching.
sure.
So
for me, it's a pleasure just like sitting down with you and hearing your stories and the Pan Am story. Like, what a great story that is. But
one more question before we go, as an add-on to penalty part of the game. For our rookie initiation, I don't know if you remember this, but all the rookies on our team, we had to go to the movie theater dressed up. I don't know if we were dressed up as women or if we were dressed up in our suits. I can't remember, but we got called up to the front of the movie theater before the movie played. And one of the vets, I forget who it was, might have been Coughlin, it might have been Renzi or Robinson, gets us a mic, and we have to sing "I'm a Little Teapot" with all the motions, short and stout. Do you remember that?
Yeah. How can we forget? Yeah, that it was suits. I think we were meant to look like we worked at the movie theater and we were just presenting for them. Yeah, that was funny.
So
looking back, that was a funny one.
So
Quickly,
penalty,
yeah.
in addition to video review, penalty part of the game, rookie initiation. We talked about a little bit of Patrice Bergeron, captain, picking up pucks.
Yeah.
But I mentioned Matt Coughlin, loved the guy, great leader, warrior, made our lives a living hell sometimes, like a lot of veterans did, unfortunately. And when I became a veteran, I was no different. Like, we were looking so forward to not being rookies by the end of the year. Penalty part of the game, some of the rookie chores, cleaning the bus. I remember all those bottles of chew that we used to have to pick up, and they would leave the tops off the lid, and you and I weren't chewers, right? So like we had to empty the buses and carry the sticks and pick up the pucks, and I hated every single one of the rookie chores that we had to do. Now that I'm a coach, right, and the advancement, like there's a lot more severity around, boys
Razzing
being
and
boys. It's not boys being boys. Initiation and all that stuff. But I hated our experiences having to do that. But yet the following year, I was a participant in watching the other rookies pick up pucks, clean the bus, and all of those things. But I wish that I would have had a different experience to allow my mentality to be different around, I'm a veteran now. This is what I had to do as a rookie, so you guys have to do it as a rookie now too. Do you think that should be still a part of the game? Like, I'm a little teapot. That's funny.
Yeah,
that's funny.
That's
funny to me.
Yeah.
I didn't like cleaning the bus. I didn't like, if we're gonna pick up the pucks, let's pick it all that. Like all of those things to me, it was just like everybody do it. And that's why I would get so pissed off sometimes when we were playing. Just be like, why am I cleaning up this guy's stall? Like it's your stall and you're nasty. I don't want to clean up your stall.
I think it's a fine line between paying your dues, rookie chores, and full-on hazing. The hazing stuff kind of perpetuates itself, as you said. You experience it as a rookie, and you in turn do the same to the next wave coming up. And I think we're past that. I think that part of the game is gone. I hope. In hindsight, that stuff just doesn't belong anywhere. But the rookie chores and paying your dues, as long as it's done in a respectful way, like chew example. You know what? If you're 18 and you want to chew, all the power to you. Put the cap on, put it in the garbage bag. I'm a rookie. I'll pick up the garbage bag. Like it wasn't. As long as people are being respectful about it, like don't drop your pizza slice on the floor and expect me to come pick it up. Put the thing in the bag. I will tidy up.
Our experience, Randy, the pizza was always on the floor. It was always on the floor.
But we're going back 20 years.
It was a different time. It was a different time. I do think there is value long term for an individual who's forced to pay their dues, be humbled a little bit in a respectful way, as opposed to I don't know, some of these phenom 15, 16-year-old kids who are coming up and first overall, and they just walk into a great situation. Like to me, no, I get it. You're going to be a superstar and you're going to make millions of dollars, but you're not there yet. And do what every single person before you did. And, it's not hard. It's not hard to pick up pucks after the ice. It's not hard to have to wear your helmet after practice when the vets don't have to. They can take it off. They probably all have to wear them these days. But little things, little singing, little teapot in front of the movie theater with 8 other people, like doing it by yourself, maybe that's a little more scarring. But if you're 8 of you up there, you all look like idiots, and it's not as bad. It's a fine line, but I do think there's a place for being humbled, paying your dues, showing that you're respectful both to your vets and the vets are respectful to you. You just have to do a little extra work, because that's what it takes to make it through your first year. Yeah.
And I think there's a cool one right now in the NHL where anyone who's getting the call right now, they're sending them out first in warmies with no bucket on. And he's like, it's his first NHL game, like Caulfield or Cofield, a few other guys that we just saw come up. So I think that's like you said, in a respectful way, and like just a little fun thing like that. But
man, I used to hate cleaning. I used to hate cleaning our buses.
Well, you guys went through it. That's
buses
unfortunate.
were the dirtiest buses
that's
ever. That was a tough chore.
I agree. There's no room in the game for that anymore. But,
Randy, man, love you, brother.
Thank you so much. Also, I was just gonna say, that video of you fighting Mike Richards, it comes up once a year. That article that you read out loud to our audience, Maybe that could be your trump card. You know what I mean? Like when everyone's like, "Let's see the video." It's
Let's
like,
see the
hold
video.
on.
Oh,
You gotta see this
Trevor
article.
Steinberg, Toronto
You gotta see
Star,
this article.
best player ever.
From the Star.
You know, that could be the trump card. Watch this video, but then read this article.
Yeah, that's a great idea, guys. Thank you for the tip. And no, honestly, thanks for having me. You guys are doing great things with this show. I've listened to many of them, and I am honored to have been asked to come on, Rain. So thanks. Always awesome to catch up with you, man. Miss you.
Miss you too, brother. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already subscribed to our channel.
Yep. And where can we find you if you want to be found? I don't know.
He's the international man of mystery.
Yeah, dude.
We also used to call him Astro Boy. Or was it Big Boy Burger that you looked like?
Jeez.
It was Astro Boy, and I haven't set up a TikTok account, so I've got nothing to market myself on. So.
All right.
We actually had Rob Schremp as our guest last week, and he had not yet created a TikTok account, and then we made the suggestion because of all of its cool tricks, everybody's going
Doing
viral
that,
now, and he was the originator of he was the OG. So he actually, after being a guest on our show, created a TikTok account called Dad Bod Dangles, where he just has Dad Bod Dangles on, and he's blowing up.
Yeah,
so
it's
maybe
awesome.
it's a thing where we get guests who don't have a TikTok to convince them to get a TikTok and share their glory with the audience that's out there. What do you say?
Should I just do the spoof of Robbie Trent and try all the stuff he's doing, but like the puck keeps falling off kind of thing?
Perfect.
With a worse body?
Awesome, Mark. Thanks so much again, man, and nice meeting you, and thanks for coming on our show.
You're the best, bro.
Awesome, guys. It was great chatting. Have an awesome night.
Tell Ashley and the boys I say hi. All the best.
Will do.
All right, brother.
Cheers.
Hi,
And
guys.
say hi to Doucette for me as well.
I will. I'll text him right now.
Maybe we'll get him on the show as well.
Sounds good.
All right, brother.
Cheers.
See you, fellas. Thanks again.
The man,
Wow.
eh? The man right there.
The man, the myth, the legend.
Like, what a great captain. Like, everywhere he goes, and a lot of his answers were, like, leadership answers.
Well,
it's like, it's really cool. And, like,
One of the things that I didn't bring up on, when we had him on with us was when I was going through my addiction phase,
yeah.
I would reach out periodically to Mark or, through text messages. And he's somebody that no matter what I was going through, he was always there for me. And I owe a lot to that man. And it's not surprising to me
For sure.
that he's built the life that he has because he's just one of the best that I've ever met. So enjoy that show.
For sure.
Because that meant a lot.
Well,
to
like
me.
even like just the leadership stories with
He's just
Mike Danton story, like
Mark is just the man.
yeah, so pretty cool.
And everybody, he brings everybody
And
together.
when you said you disagree with what I was saying about letters on jerseys, what I was actually getting is just like how a lot of the topic, like a lot of the points that our guests have made about letters on jerseys, kind of got me to be like, oh wow, like I didn't even.
Well, that's why I was saying that I'm disagreeing with you because I don't think that he was. So like he was saying the opposite of what you're saying. He's saying doesn't matter if I had a letter on my jersey or not.
Yes, for sure.
So that's what I was saying.
Yeah,
Let's agree to disagree.
It's kind
Let's
of
agree to
like
disagree.
just the importance of it without being like, okay.
But that's what I'm saying.
Mr.
I'm saying
Important.
that's what we're disagreeing because I'm saying that he's saying
All
whether
right,
you had
all
to see
right.
it's not important. It's important just being a good person.
Sure, whatever. Bergeron, picking up pucks.
Great.
Everyone's got a role. Everyone's, everyone.
That's what
the
leaders
same
do.
person.
That's what leaders do.
That's what leaders do. But another episode, thanks
Episode
a lot.
10.
Yeah, this was our number 10, double digits.
Double digits.
So,
Double digits.
We run a little long, so make sure you guys catch us on the audio.
Yep.
Spotify, Google,
Google,
and then a couple other ones that aren't as known. We're looking to get us up on Apple and other ones right now, but you know, we're still new.
We're still new. We're
in the
just
podcasts
finding
and,
our footing.
you know, TV world. So we're just trying to find, you know, the best routes to take. But we'll be up on that. Please like and subscribe, though.
Like
you know, the button,
and subscribe.
the button is down there, right there, right there, right there. Hit it. Like. Set up the notifications too, so when
That way
we,
you don't miss anything.
Yeah, when we release it, it tells you we're out, and give us some feedback, guys. Like girls, everybody, we need to know how to, you know, get better at this or get worse, whatever it is.
Whatever it is,
You
do
know,
not be afraid to be a participant.
please, and yeah, search for Part of the Game on you know, podcast catcher, wherever. We'll be there.
What else do you got to do? We got extended another couple weeks.
Yeah, and here we are. Here we are. Just
Here we are talking, giving you guys,
talking
life
lessons.
Listen, everything.
Captains that we keep disagreeing, but we kind of agree, but you don't see my point. I don't know what's going on with you.
I don't know what's going on with me either.
Anyways, that's another episode of Part of the Game, and thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much.
Till next time.
Till next time.